Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Let's Draw, part two, or I guess second episode. Today we're talking about the elements of art. There are 7 of which you might have heard of: line, shape, color, value, which is also known as tone, form, texture, and space. So let's go one by one. Now, number 1, line. That one's pretty obvious. What are you using to mark make? Is it a pen? Is it ink? Is it a pencil? As you can see here, I'm sort of treating this just fun coloring, just splash of watercolor as like an opposite coloring page. I love sea creatures, I love the ocean, and I love the 3 colors of blue, pink, and purple together. So we sort of just putting them all on one paper and see what sticks. So obviously number 1 is line. Line is really what you use to show whatever you're making image-wise. Shape really goes hand in hand with line, because how do you make a shape if not by using line? So obviously I've got the bell of the actual sea creature here. I've put in little shapes of, I guess you could call them eels on the side. I have little tiny baby polyps going everywhere, which is why, line and shape are so connected. Color is always an interesting creature because I often start with color, and if I want to add in black or white, that's usually a secondary thought. But most people work backwards. They start with black and white and then add color. And that sort of transitions into the concept of value, which is also known as tone. So think of how vibrant something is. If something is black, or, something's a thin gray, or if something's, the soft white of a cloud. Those tones, those are all values of that same, black to white. So on the paper right here, we've got all sorts of different values of pink, all sorts of different values of purple. And so you can see how value still works with color as it would work with black and white, also known as grayscale. So moving from, we've talked about line at the very beginning. We've dabbled a bit in shape and in color and in tone and value. That sort of moves us next to form. What are you actually creating? Is it an image of abstract? Is it a true-to-life illustration of something? I'm sort of in the middle of that right here with this form of this jellyfish, and you can see I've gone in and I've added more to it as I've thought about it. So at the bottom of that bell, I've added in more sort of squiggly lines, more of the... Technically, those are the gonads of the creature, all of the tentacles to actually catch prey for when they're in the ocean. And so that just adding into that form of this image, of this sea creature, sort of transitions from, what we were talking about, value to tone, going in, making that form up. So after talking about form, we're going to talk about texture, which is a little hard to do from this far away because you can't necessarily see the I love texture of the page that I'm drawing on. I've put down multiple layers of watercolor on it first. So it does kind of have like almost a chalky texture 3-dimensionally wise. But now we're talking about texture in the actual composition. So you can see all this, you could call them scratch marks if you want, you could call it layering if you want, but I've given a lot more texture to the actual bell of this sea creature right here by going in and overlaying additional colors, additional layering, and it makes it look, at least in my mind, like it's a different texture from the other things I have drawn that is around it. Now that sort of leads us to the very last design element, which is that of space. And I'm not just talking about space. That was a Portal 2 reference, if anyone gets that. I mean, space is in the composition. Is there white space? Or if you're drawing on black paper, is there black space where there's nothing at all? And I'd like to think that here there is a little bit of white space that I've left at the top. So you can tell that there's just a lot more going on closer to the bottom, of the seafloor, as opposed to the higher you go. So what does this all sort of mean practicality-wise? Practicality-wise. when it comes to using like the bare basics elements of art, it's because we want to engage the viewer. We want the viewer's eye to travel around our composition. We want them to notice this little detail that we love. We want them to think of, oh, there's a little bit of green at the bottom of this. Oh, I didn't even notice there were eyes in that little sea creature. Personally, I love it when people see things in my pictures and in my pieces that I didn't even notice, because everyone's eyes are different. Everyone's minds are different. So I'm not necessarily sure where I'm going with this thought, but I'm more just thinking, wow, I want to add more jellyfish to this page, but I've already ran out of room. So let's take it back from the top again, because I want you all to learn this. There is not going to be a test, but there will be homework. And that homework is, you need to make some art yourself. You need to be thinking about, what is line? What is shape? What do I think about using color in my compositions if I use color? What is about the value and tone of X, Y, and Z? What is the forms that I'm capturing? What textures do I want the viewer to notice? And how much space am I leaving for myself and for the viewer to just leave open to interpretation? So I hope that's given you a little bit of information just about how to move forward. Yeah. I'm super professional in closing these off. So have a beautiful rest of today. There's your homework. Do a little bit of extra drawing for me and share with everybody. I want to know what you're making. You take care, kids. See ya.